What's going on, everybody? It's Stas here, and oh boy, did the stock market do well today, guys. S&P 500 up 41 points, up 1.2%. The Dow Jones ended up going up over 800 points, up 3%, and the NASDAQ 100 went down about 260 points, down over 2%, as the Russell 2000 on the flip side went up almost 4%, up 60 points on the day. So all over the place today, guys, and in this video, we're going to be talking more about the stock market, breaking down some technicals. Also, I want to go over a bunch of stocks that I'm actually looking to buy right now, and we're going to talk about what ended up moving the markets today. We're going to talk about the breaking news. I also want to go over what I personally did in the market and kind of how I'm navigating the current situation that we're in, and we're also going to break down some earnings report. So a lot to go over. If you guys find value, hit the like button, make sure to subscribe, join the Strive Smart Discord chat and Facebook group linked down below, and make sure to get your 3 free stocks from WeBull as well. All you have to do is deposit $100 using my link, and we both get 3 free stocks valued up to $1,600. So let's get into it, guys. Again, today was an unbelievable day, and you take a look at the S&P and you're like, okay, it was a great day, up 41 points at the close, up 1.2%, but that doesn't even tell you half the story, guys. Look at where we were in the beginning of the day. The S&P was actually up over 100 points, 150 points, something like that, right? Unbelievable. And we ended up filling the gap down and selling off for the rest of the day. I mean, that's how it played out. So we ended up gapping up 150 points roughly, and then we gapped down another 100 points. But despite the gap down, I mean, we're still holding an uptrend. It's very obvious. It's evident here. If you take a look at the chart, 5-day, 5-minute, you guys can see we closed right above old resistance at 35.30 as a new support. We held the 180 SMA here on the 5-day, 5-minute, which is a good sign. Now we have to see what the price action looks like above 35.50 here on the S&P. That's going to show us, okay, are we holding this, rallying above it, or are we going to break down below it and maybe gap down a bit further? And if we pull back a bit on this 4-hour chart, you guys can see it as well. This is beautiful, bullish price action, right? We gapped out of that big resistance. And you guys know, I mean, if you've been following my channel, I've been talking about the high from the middle of October is very critical. The S&P has to break that, and if we do break that, which we obviously did, right, we're likely to hit all-time highs. That's what I was saying, and we did exactly that, right? We bursted through it, hit that 36.45 all-time high here on the S&P 500, and now we're closing at a price where, hey, I mean, this could be a dip buy. It very well could be tomorrow, maybe some point this week. Again, if we do find support around 35.50 and end up going higher from there, right? And when it comes down to SPY, which is an ETF that tracks the S&P, right? A lot of people prefer doing analysis on this as opposed to the S&P, which is why I cover both here on the channel. You guys can see some of the key levels that we're holding right now. One is 354, 355, right? That was the high from back in the middle of October, so that's critical here for the bulls to hold when it comes down to SPY. And when we zoom in a bit on the 5-day, 5-minute, same as the index, right? You guys can see we're holding a critical support, and we're also at a higher low here, technically speaking. So the uptrend is still intact, but again, we have to see what we do here in the mid 300s. I mean, ideally for the bulls, we'd love to see a gap up and a rally, from this point. So before we get deeper into why the market's going up, or I mean, actually, we're going to talk about that, but before we get deeper into some more charts, let's talk about why the market is going up. We got some very good news from Pfizer, guys, ticker symbol PFE. And speaking of Pfizer, that stock went bananas. It was up over $40 today. It closed at about $36 on Friday. And Pfizer said today that the vaccine made with German partner BioNTech, I hope I'm saying that right, had an efficacy rate higher than 90%. at 7 days after the second dose, which means protection is achieved 28 days after a person begins vaccination, right? So this is the breaking news. We got very positive news from Pfizer. A vaccine is about 90% effective. This is very good news, especially in an economy that, let's be honest, guys, it's been struggling. And a lot of these businesses that have been suppressed because of CV, they're very, very reliant on the vaccine, because the vaccine makes people prone or less prone to the virus, obviously, right? That's the idea. And it raises their confidence, the consumer confidence, to go out, shop, travel, go here, go there, which obviously brings in more business and juices up the economy. So the fact that people are scared, they're huddling in their house for the most part, they're not going out as much, that's been really devastating stocks and the markets and the economy. Well, not really the overall market, as obviously the market is at all-time highs, but, I guess you can say the real economy, or, the average person has just been scared to go out. So this is good. This is pushing up a lot of stocks, which we'll talk about here in a second. And the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has said it would expect at least a 50% efficacy rate from any CV vaccine. So 90%, I mean, that's great, and that's great news, right? Going back to what I just said. And shots from Pfizer and BioNTech could start becoming available before the end of this year, as production has already begun, but initial supplies will be limited. Pfizer says it expects to produce up to 50 million doses globally in 2020, enough for 25 million people, because the vaccine is given in 2 doses, and up to 1.3 billion doses in 2021. So this means only the highest risk groups, such as frontline healthcare workers, could be inoculated this year. And I believe maybe the older population before the rest of the population. So this is great news for the economy, obviously for humanity in general, and of course for the stock market. So we saw a bunch of stocks go ballistic today, guys, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But first, let's go back to the Dow Jones and break down some technicals here on the Dow and the NASDAQ 100. So very similar. And by the way, guys, the Dow, it was up immensely, and very similar to the S&P. It gapped up in the morning, and it ended up selling off over almost 1,000 points, about 800 points towards the end of the day. And if you guys remember, the futures for the Dow, guys, I had to double take this morning. They were up 1,500. Then they went up to 1,700. And I don't know if they cracked 2,000, but gosh, they were right there. They were right at almost 2,000 points in the green. So unbelievable day for the Dow Jones. Let me see if it hit all-time highs. It might have. Yup, all-time highs were hit today officially on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and we're filling the gap down to about 29,000. I mean, that is the big resistance, old resistance here on the Dow Jones, which we struggled at for a couple months. So the fact that we're pulling down and we're looking to hold it, that's a good sign for a potential dip buy, for a healthy little pull down there. Watch for 28,900, 29,000 to hold here on the Dow Jones if you're a bull. And of course, if that breaks, we might see a bit more downside, maybe mid 28,000s. But with the way the trend's looking, we're bullish at this point, so I would really lean more towards another breakout until 29,000 officially were to break under, right? Then maybe we might go lower, if that makes sense, guys. And when it comes to the NASDAQ 100, why do we see tech stocks going down? Well, because, and why is the Dow going up? Isn't the NASDAQ supposed to outperform the Dow? That's what people are asking. Well, the truth is, guys, a lot of the tech names, the stay-at-home stocks, the stay-at-home names, they didn't do well today. These are the ones that outperformed in the beginning of the crisis, and throughout the crisis, they did very well. But now we're seeing the stocks that were suppressed do well. So we might be seeing a little bit of rotation. People are getting out. The big funds are getting out of some of these tech names into some names that we'll mention here in a second. and that's why we're seeing the general sell-off. I mean, guys, tech did so well. Now that we have news of this vaccine that's gonna bring a lot of confidence back to people, this is really looking to push up businesses that have been struggling, right? It really just makes sense, and tech has done so well that this little sell-off doesn't even matter. And quite honestly, guys, I'm still bullish on tech and the NASDAQ despite the vaccine news. I think there's still upside in a lot of these tech stocks. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. As always, I would love to know. Now let's talk about some stocks that just went bananas today because of this news that came out. So first is Wynn Resorts, WYNN. This one was looking, until this news came out, this was looking like a perfect short candidate. It was in a descending triangle here. You guys can see it from $90 down to about $71. All I was looking for, and honestly, this theory really busted a couple days ago, but up until it was at $70 and it broke out, I mean, before that, I was thinking, okay, if 70 can break, if we break under 70, then it would tank, right, even more, hence the descending triangle. That's how it would play out. But again, that busted a couple days ago, didn't work out, and now we're breaking out extremely. And today, guys, Wynn ended up closing over $100 per share. Unbelievable. Up $22, up almost 30%. So that's one stock that crushed it. Disney today, guys, went bananas, up over 11%. It really played out exactly as we talked about it yesterday, although we did not know that this vaccine news was going to come out, right? We didn't know that. We can't predict the future. But I said, if this breaks, this little downtrend, I mean, it's off to the races, and that's exactly what happened. Disney up 12% today, and it's kind of overbought. I mean, a lot of these stocks are overbought. I wouldn't chase them necessarily at this point until we see a decent pull down. Another one here is Ulta. Ended up going up 15% today, up $32, guys. Very strong day for Ulta. And JWN, Nordstrom, up 25% today, up $3.30. CCL and RCL, don't even get me started, guys. CCL, Carnival Cruise Line, up 40%, up $5. RCL ended up going up, let's see here, 30% on the day. Starbucks, which is one that I've been buying heavily since the 70s, right? And I said once this pandemic, once this CV rolls over, we get a vaccine, it's going to go back up to the highs. That's what I've been saying here on the channel. And guys, what do you know? It did exactly that. We're back up all-time high here, roughly at $99. So that position of mine's doing great. Starbucks up 6% today. MA is another one that I bought literally last week after their poor earnings report. Or was that the week before? Well, recently, after their most recent earnings report, I bought into MasterCard, bought more shares, and that ended up going up 10% today, up $30. Visa is another one that went up decent amount today, up 7%. AMC, guys, the theaters, oh man, AMC up 50%. CNK, Cinemark, ended up going up 45%. Boeing ended up going up 13%. And a couple airlines crush it as well, mostly all of them, at least the ones that I track. AAL up 15%. Southwest ended up going up 9%. So, guys, needless to say, a lot of stocks crushed it today. Mostly the non-tech stocks, the non-CV stocks crushed it. And some that went down, I mean, we'll talk about that in a second. But one in particular that I could mention now really quickly is Zoom. It went down almost 20% on this news, which shows how volatile this stock is, especially to the CV, to any news regarding that as well. So be careful with Zoom, and honestly, all of these stocks that went up heavily or down heavily today, as we really can't predict what's going to happen, obviously, and we could see massive pull downs in the ones that did very well. And a quick lesson here, guys, is this goes to show that timing the market, if you're long-term investing here, if you're short-term investing, trading, it's different. But if you're long-term investing here, this is a perfect lesson. Timing the market is very difficult. Time in the market is what is the best if you're long-term, right? If you're holding for 10, 20 years out, if you're, let's say you're running a retirement portfolio, because who would have thought that this market would have went up 2,000 points. The Dow Jones, it was up 6% at one point, right? Let's say you were on the sidelines, you were trying to time the market, and you missed something like this. I mean, you'd be probably bummed out. I mean, I would for sure be bummed out if I was all cash. And this is literally, was I not saying this last week, guys? Not to toot my own horn. I don't like doing that, but I was saying this 10 days ago, a week ago. Having all cash is so risky because of situations like this where the market explodes. Having some cash and some in the market is what I call smart, right? That, and not saying if you're all cash, you're dumb. That's not what I'm saying. Because at the end of the day, you have to do what works for you. But for me, in my opinion, right, having some cash and having foot in the market, having your feet wet at the same time is the best way to go, because you catch the moves like today, right? Massive move. And you also have security of having cash, which you can really wait for a buying opportunity, or you can do whatever you want with it pretty much, right? So that's kind of a lesson here that I took from today's rally, and honestly the whole rally ever since the election, which nobody thought the market was going to rally, right? Everybody thought it was going to tank. And speaking of the election here, guys, we obviously have a new president-elect, and let me clear something up here. We have a lot of people just going back and forth saying, oh, there's this going wrong, there's this going wrong. And the truth is, yes, there could be things that are shady, there could be fraud. And for me personally, guys, I just want a 100% legitimate election. You know, I'm in the camp that if somebody wins fair and square, there's no cheating, 100% legal, hey, I'm cool with that, right? I'm cool with that. And honestly, guys, if you're not cool with that, I mean, you have to ask yourself, right? If you're gonna vote for somebody, or you're gonna root against somebody that's going to be a president, you're kind of like, and you live in the U.S., you're kind of like shooting your own boat. You're looking to sink your own boat. That's kind of how I view it. You know, it doesn't matter to me who wins. I mean, I just want a 100% ethical, legal process, right? And whoever does win, hey, kudos. I'm cool with that, and I'm going to support them 100% because I'm American. I live in the U.S., right? And I'm not going to go against my president. That's just something that I don't do. I mean, it doesn't depend. It doesn't matter who it is. That's what I want to say here, guys. I'm going to root for them regardless, because at the end of the day, again, I'm not looking to shoot my own boat down, if that makes any sense. Sink the ship that I'm in, right? By rooting against somebody that's running the country. So yeah, that's clearing it up there. And I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same. You just want a 100% ethical election, 100% legitimate, and that's all we can want here in this situation. So, I mean, I try not to get too caught up in all that stuff because, quite honestly, it just, I mean, you can't really, it's just too much. People are fighting. It's just insanity, right? So I don't like getting caught up in that, and it's going to take a couple weeks to play out, and we'll see how it ends up going. And until then, guys, we're going to be talking about stocks. We'll talk about the news a little bit here and there, and we're just going to be trading what's in front of us. And that's kind of what I talk about here all the time. And politics, that's really on the bottom of my list of priorities, honestly. And that's just me. And I'd love to know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you agree with me, disagree with me. And again, all I want is a 100% ethical, legitimate election. And whoever wins, hey, I'm going to root and support them 100%. That's just how I am, and that's how I roll, guys, right? So let's talk about now what I personally did today. I ended up calling out Zoom early in the day. I thought it was a bit of I don't want to say overreaction, because, I mean, you could argue that Zoom was very overbought. So the sell-off here is just blowing off some steam right off the top, and that makes sense. But I ended up calling out Zoom when it was in the 420s on Twitter, right? And make sure to follow me on Twitter, guys, and Instagram. I called it out, and on the Discord chat at StasSurfS. Make sure to follow me there. We talked about it here at about 4:15. I started watching it. We formed a nice base there, and then we started rallying up. And I ended up calling it out on Twitter at about $424, and I actually made a position right after that at $425 is where my limit order filled. And I actually wrote it up up, and the goal here on Zoom was we had two targets. One was 440, which is one of the targets I called out on Twitter, and the other one was 460. Obviously, we didn't hit 460, and quite honestly, I wasn't really expecting it to, but I was expecting it to maybe fill the gap up to 440, right? And we did exactly that, a bit above it actually, 445. And I ended up getting in at 425, filled out at 435, right around that pre-market high, a bit under it, just to, lock in profits and play it safe. And it ended up being one of those beautiful day trades, in at a good price, out at a good price. And like I say, it's not always good like that. It's not always perfect when it comes to timing. But for me today, that's what ended up, going down. I day traded Zoom there. And I'm also still in my SLV, and silver and gold today, guys, got hammered. Silver was down about 6%, gold down about 4.5%. And silver, this is more of a hedge for me, right? I talked about Bitcoin, which I actually uploaded a Bitcoin video earlier on how to actually buy Bitcoin and safely store it. If you want to check that out, go check it out. Link down below. These assets here, they're hedges, right? I think that having them in your portfolio is important, especially if you're heavy in equities, right? If you're in the US dollar heavily, which honestly, if you have stocks, they're priced in US dollars. So having silver, having gold, having Bitcoin, this is a good way to actually hedge against the overall economy, the stock market, and so forth. So silver sold off today because a lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to dump my safety, my security assets because we have this vaccine now. It's going to go back to normal, the economy. So who needs these hedges, right? So they dump silver, they dump gold. I think Bitcoin didn't really move much, but that's why silver ended up going down. And for me, it doesn't really matter because money printing is still coming. I think there's still going to be some volatility, I don't want to say 100%, a disastrous fear ahead, but I think there's still going to be some fear ahead. So silver, if anything, this might be a dip buy, although I didn't buy quite yet, but I for sure didn't sell my shares. I'm still in excuse me, guys, I'm still in SLV here at 2320, and I'm holding on, right? I might average down tomorrow, the next day, who knows? But that's a longer-term swing for me. I'm also in Apple here, which did go down, I believe. Let me see the closing price on Apple. AAPL ended up going down 2% today. We failed to honestly hold that key support at 118. We closed at about 116. So Apple's right around a little bit above my cost basis right now, and I'm also still in EA, which went down about 2% today. And Workhorse, which we'll dig into the earnings report in a little bit, Workhorse ended up doing well, up 10% today. So those are my main holdings at this point. Let me know down below in the comments, what are you guys doing? I would love to know. Now let's quickly run through some earnings. MCD, McDonald's reported EPS of $2.22 versus $1.90 estimated, so they beat on EPS. Revenue came in at $5.42 billion versus $5.4 billion, so they beat revenue by slim margin there. And we also got news that, hey, McDonald's is introducing its own plant-based products here, raising their quarterly dividend as well by 3% to $1.29 a share. So, hey, I'm a happy guy. I'm a long-term investor in McDonald's. So hearing that, beat EPS, beat revenue, plant-based products coming in, and they raised their quarterly dividend by 3%. That is very good news for me. Now, let's talk about Workhorse, man. Workhorse, and I actually listened to their presentation, their investor call, about 40 minutes. You guys should go check that out. They ended up losing $84 million in the quarter. Revenue came in at $565,000. Yep, $565,000 versus the $1.8 million estimated. So a bad miss there on revenue. But we know at this point that's not really what investors care about. They more care about the future, the guidance, what's coming, and so forth, any big purchase orders. So they don't really care about the little $550,000 revenue. They really look more at the loss as well, the loss of $84 million. I believe last year, same quarter, they lost about $11 million. So they're burning a lot more cash at this point. And they previously predicted 300 to 400 vehicles produced by the end of 2020, which they won't hit. That's what management said today, so that's a bit of a blow there. CV ended up having more than a 36, listen to this, guys, they had more than 36% of their production-related staff currently out with the virus or quarantined, awaiting results, and with the daily increase in cases, they must protect their employees' health. So 36%, they're getting very, very hit here by the CV, and their production process has been hit as well. So that's why they're not hitting that 300, 400 vehicles produced goal. And this is what I believe the CEO said this. We view this as only a delay in our progress. We've introduced several new battery supplier options, and they're actually having a little bit of a problem here with their supplier as well. In the first quarter, actually, what was this here, guys? They introduced several new battery suppliers. I lost myself there for a second. I lost it again. Oh my goodness, this is bad. We've introduced several new battery supplier options into our supply chain, and we'll have supplemental volume additions in the first quarter of 2021. While we cannot predict the full impact from CV right now, let alone in 2021, when conditions improve and the CV is no longer a business issue for us and our suppliers, then we would anticipate producing approximately 1,800 units in 2021. So that's pretty good news. And they also received a 500 vehicle purchase order for the C1000 truck from Pritchard Auto Company for its national fleet program. So that's good news as well. And through the finances here, various financings, the company improved its current cash position to over $260 million. So $260 million in cash. They're burning about $80 million a quarter. That would sustain them for about 3 quarters, a couple quarters there. So that's pretty good. So Workhorse up 10% on the day. Big resistance coming up. I'd say around $20. That needs to break. Double top there from a couple days ago and today. So if that breaks, we could see a nice pop to the upside, maybe back up low 20s. And Beyond Meat, guys, they ended up reporting earnings of negative 28 cents EPS versus 5 cents. So a very bad miss there, EPS, and revenue also missed very badly. Revenue came in at $94.4 million versus $132.18 million estimated. And this stock was a roller coaster today. We got news that McDonald's, I think I'm getting this right. We got news McDonald's is making their McPatty, or what is it, a McPlant, I think it's called. And that ended up initially dropping down Beyond Meat because people thought they were going to be a competitor to Beyond Meat. And then we saw that Beyond Meat is working with them for the McPlant. The stock went back up. Is it even called the McPlant? I don't even know. Am I making that up? But you guys know what I mean. The stock went up after that. Then it trailed back down heading into the close from 170, heading into close from 170 to 150. Now it's tanking down to $105, $110 after hours. So this is a roller coaster, guys. And for me, I don't know if I'd buy this. At this point, I'd want to see it settle down, consolidate a bit. But look for 110. That is a big support. Let's see if we can hold this over these next couple of days. And Nikola reported, I don't even want to really talk about Nikola because they're a bit sketchy, let's be honest. But they reported EPS of 16 cents in the red versus 19 cents in the red, and their revenue came in. Let me see if I can see their revenue because it's not in my notes here. But their revenue came in, we can't find it. Let's see here. It doesn't really matter. Okay, it doesn't even show it. Either way, guys, revenue is not maybe even existent, honestly, because they don't even sell anything, so they probably didn't make any money. They didn't make a dime. So Nikola, guys, hey, that is what they're doing at this point. And let me know your thoughts down below in the comments about any of these companies and any other stocks that you guys are watching, what I did, and any thoughts you've had so far. And if you guys are enjoying the video, make sure to hit that like button. Let's try and get 350 likes. I challenge you guys. Let's do that. So some other stocks here, and by the way, get your 3 free stocks from WeBull down below. Some other stocks here I'm looking at. Shopify. This one's down, and some of these are down immensely because of the tech bust today. I don't want to say it's a crash because it's not. It's down 2%. It's not too crazy, but a lot of the tech stocks are down way more than that. Shopify down 13.5%. Big resistance at about 1,050, 1,100, right? We sold off today. We tried holding 950. That looked to be initially a nice entry point, but we ended up breaking right through that level, and now we're actually testing the low from, I believe, last week at about 900, 912, right around there. This is where we were last week, so I'm thinking short term, if Shopify can hold 900, rally back up 920, 930, maybe we can get a bounce back play, especially if it gets back above 950. That's a key level, 950, right? If 950 can break, maybe a move up to 1,000, 1,050 is possible. Overall, I mean, this still looks kind of like an ascending triangle, which is a bullish pattern at the end of the day. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Amazon, guys, is down a good chunk from the highs recently. Amazon was at about 3,500 about a couple weeks ago. Now it's at 3,150, holding a big level of support here that it's held before. So this could be a buy on Amazon, a dip buy here. And again, guys, like I said, at this point, I'm not really chasing those bounce back stocks, the recovery stocks quite yet. I want to see if they pull down a bit. I'm actually more looking at the dip here in tech. I think that's a bit more attractive right now, and that's just me being honest, right? Amazon, I mean, this could do very well heading into the holiday season. You know, PayPal is another one. PYPL, let me show you guys PayPal. It's holding 184, 185 as a support. We've rallied around this level multiple times from 185 back above 210, right? So that could be a play. This is actually also a resistance from back in the beginning of July, so it's pretty imperative that we hold this level, and if we do, guys, again, we might see a big pop in PayPal, maybe back up 190, 200. That's very, very possible. And NEO, I've been getting so many questions on NEO, guys. And quite honestly, like I've said, it's funny. I've been calling a pull down on NEO ever since $35. And hey, we did not get it clearly. Now we're trading at 45. So would I chase NEO here, guys? Absolutely not. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm not a fortune teller, but what I do know for sure is NEO needs a pull down, and it's not worth chasing. Nothing goes straight up in a straight line. I could almost guarantee you 100%, but I don't want to, and I'm not going to, because nothing in the stock market's 100% guaranteed, but I can almost guarantee that NEO is going to see some sort of a pull down, whether it's from 45 to 40, whether it goes to 55 and then comes back to 40. I mean, it's going to pull down eventually. It's going to happen, right? And I'm not looking to touch it until we see a significant correction, whether it's I need to see more than 10%. I'm going to put it at that. I need to see at least a 10, 15, 20% correction in NEO before I even consider it as a swing trade, right? And you guys know I'm in a long-term position. I'm not touching that, but in terms of short-term stuff, short-term trading, I need it down a significant amount from here. And plus, we have earnings coming out on the 17th, which is in about a week and a day. So watch out for that. Next Tuesday, we have NEO's earnings and a bunch of other companies here, NVIDIA. I'm looking at this dip buy if we end up holding 530, 550, which it seems like we're doing, right? Square is another one. SQ, it's holding about 180, 185 here after hours. This could easily rally back up to the 200s, right? AMD is another one, Advanced Micro Devices. We filled the gap up to about $88 today, filled that gap nicely. Now we're pulling back down, and we filled the gap back down, right, to about $83. So let's see, if 83 holds, we might go right back up to the high 80s. That could be a play here on AMD. And Facebook as well, I'm keeping my eyes very, very close on this one at about 280. I like this dip buy here for a play from 280, maybe back up to a little bit north of $300. So, guys, that's it for this video. Those are a bunch of stocks, a bunch of earnings reports, what I personally did, some info there on the vaccine. Overall, this is great news. I think this is going to benefit the vaccine. It's going to benefit the economy, the market moving forward. But another thing that you guys have to understand, and why I always say be prepared for any scenario, if we get some bad news about this vaccine, something happens, who knows? I'm not a doctor, but I'm just playing devil's advocate, if you will. If we get something that goes wrong, that could easily plunge the market, and especially those recovery stocks that we mentioned earlier in this video. So just be mindful of that. And again, be mindful of what I said earlier. I mean, let me know your thoughts on everything. And yeah, I mean, I hope you guys enjoy the video. And again, let's try to get 350 likes on this video. And that's it. I mean, if you enjoyed it, do your thing down below. I'll catch you all in the next video. And don't forget to get your 3 free stocks as well, valued up to $1,600. Stay safe out there. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Peace out.